The night Amelia's life changed wasn't dramatic. No thunder. No cinematic storm. Just a tired girl in a tiny room, filming a simple skincare routine with her phone stacked on 3 textbooks and a coffee mug. She whispered, maybe this one will work, and hit record. She didn't expect 30,000 views by morning. At first, it felt like magic. Comments poured in, asterisk, you're underrated. Asterisk, asterisk, your vibe is so calming. Asterisk, asterisk, more please. Asterisk, she walked through her college hallway feeling lighter, taller, as if the world had finally noticed her. For the first time in years, she felt seen. But the second video didn't go viral. Neither did the third. She told herself it didn't matter. She pushed harder, late nights, early mornings, editing till her fingers shook. She copied trends, studied algorithms, watched other creators blow up while she sat staring at her analytics like they were exam results that never changed. Then came the message. A DM from a girl with a blue checkmark. Liana Vale. 10 million followers. Brand deals. Magazine covers. The kind of beauty that made people stop mid-scroll. Loved your vibe, Liana wrote. Want to collab? Amelia read the message 20 times. She barely slept that night, replaying every fantasy of success she'd ever had. The next morning, she traveled across the city to Liana's penthouse, high ceilings, glass walls, expensive candles, the kind of place where even silence felt rich. Liana greeted her with a perfect smile. You're adorable, she said, touching Amelia's cheek in a way that felt both affectionate and calculating. Let's make you shine. For a moment, Amelia believed her. They filmed for hours. Liana's team directed every breath, every blink. Amelia felt like she was being sculpted into someone else, someone prettier, louder, more polished. But whenever she made a mistake, Liana's smile thinned just enough to sting. You need energy, babe, Liana snapped after the 5th take. Influencers don't hesitate, we perform. Still, Amelia pushed through. She told herself greatness wasn't comfortable. That evening, when the collaboration posted, Amelia waited for the flood of love. For the comments. For the validation. It didn't come. Instead, the internet turned its eyes on her in a way she never imagined. Who's the awkward girl next to Liana? She looks so insecure. Influencer. She can barely talk on camera. Liana's giving her pity content. Amelia froze. She tried to breathe, but the words sank into her like stones. Liana didn't respond to her calls. Or her texts. Or anything. Hours later, a new video dropped, Liana laughing with another creator, mocking girls who try too hard to go viral. The comments made it obvious who she meant. That night, Amelia sat in her dark room again, surrounded by ring lights she once loved. She felt small. Invisible. Ridiculous. Until she noticed something, a single new comment on her old video. Asterisk, don't let the fake ones break you. Your authenticity is rare. Keep posting. Asterisk. It came from an account with no profile picture. Just a username, Real Truth Watcher. Her finger hovered over the reply button, heart pounding. Something about the name felt strange. Intentional. Almost like a warning. And when she clicked the profile, her breath caught. There were no posts. No followers. Only one sentence in the bio. I know what Liana did. And you deserve to know too. Amelia stared at the screen, the glow of her laptop reflecting off her wide, unblinking eyes. The words burned themselves into her mind, asterisk, I know what Liana did. And you deserve to know too. Asterisk, she wanted to dismiss it as another internet prank, another random troll trying to feel important. But something about the timing, the way the message appeared just as she had been swallowed by self-doubt, made her pause. She felt a flicker of curiosity, the kind that keeps you awake even when your body screams for rest. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. The urge to reply was overwhelming, as though the unseen person on the other side already knew every fear she carried about her career, her image, her dreams. She typed a simple, almost too cautious, "Who are you?" and hit send. Seconds felt like hours before the reply came. Call me Knox. I'm someone who's seen this industry up close, too close. And I can help you. Amelia leaned back in her chair. Her room suddenly felt smaller, oppressive even. The thought of anyone offering help in this cutthroat, image-obsessed world was foreign. Help usually came with strings attached. And yet, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was different. "What do you want?" she typed. To show you the truth. About Liana, about the system, about what it really takes to survive as an influencer. Meet me at the cafe on 7th Street. Midnight. Midnight. The word made her stomach twist into knots. The city would be quiet, dark, and somehow dangerous, but the pull of knowing, of finally understanding what she'd stepped into, was irresistible. Amelia packed a small bag, just her phone, charger, and a notebook she sometimes scribbled ideas in, and left her apartment, slipping into the cool night. The cafe was nearly empty when she arrived. A single dim light above the door flickered, casting shadows across the cracked pavement. Inside, the smell of roasted coffee beans mixed with old wood and something faintly metallic that made her uneasy. At the corner table sat a figure cloaked in black. A hood hid most of their face, but when the person looked up, Amelia saw sharp, calculating eyes that seemed to pierce through the room's haze. "You're Amelia?" the figure asked, their voice low and steady. "Yes," she said, swallowing hard. "Good," they said, leaning back. "We don't have much time. What you saw online tonight, Liana's cruelty, her manipulation, it's just the surface. The truth is much worse." Amelia felt a shiver run down her spine. She had assumed Liana's betrayal was personal, that it was some ego-driven stunt. But the way Knox said it, the implication was far broader. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Knox leaned forward, fingers tapping against the table. "Liana didn't just use you for content. She's part of a network, one that thrives on creating influencers only to discard them when they stop serving a purpose. Every viral rise, every trend you see, every overnight success, it's calculated. Manufactured. Some are groomed for fame, others set up to fail." Amelia's heart pounded in her chest. She had thought the influencer world was competitive, yes, but this was a whole different level. "Why me?" she whispered. "Because you're different," Knox said. "You have authenticity. People can feel it. That's dangerous to them. Liana saw your potential and wanted to exploit it. You could have been a real competitor." The weight of the words made Amelia's hands shake. All the late nights, all the exhaustion, all the silent cries of frustration, they weren't meaningless, but they were now part of a game far bigger than she imagined. "Okay," she said finally, trying to steady her voice. "So, what do I do?" Knox smiled faintly. "First, you learn. You understand the rules from the inside, and then you decide if you play by them or break them. The first lesson, never trust anyone who smiles too perfectly. Influence is about control, not kindness." Amelia nodded, scribbling in her notebook. She felt a strange combination of fear and exhilaration, as if she had been blind all her life and someone had just handed her glasses with X-ray vision. Over the next few hours, Knox outlined the dark underbelly of the influencer world, the algorithms that weren't neutral, the agencies that manipulated engagement and fake followers, the psychological traps designed to keep creators dependent, compliant, and constantly chasing relevance. Amelia listened, horrified but hungry for every detail. She realized now that her own struggles weren't her fault, they were systemic. Every doubt, every anxiety, every sleepless night had been amplified by a machine designed to exploit her emotions for clicks. But how do I fight it? She asked. How do I survive without losing myself? Knox's eyes softened slightly. You don't fight it by hiding. You fight it by knowing. By staying authentic while using the system strategically. The world will always try to consume those who shine, but if you understand the machinery, you can bend it without breaking. Amelia felt a spark inside her, something she hadn't felt since the first video went viral. Hope. Determination. The realization that maybe, just maybe, she could rise without selling her soul. Knox slid a small, black envelope across the table. Inside, you'll find information about Liana and her network. Also, ways to protect yourself. Consider it a starter pack for survival. She hesitated, then opened it. Inside were screenshots, contact lists, and notes, evidence of manipulation, deceit, and betrayal on a scale she couldn't have imagined. The most shocking part, detailed proof that some influencers were being groomed to fail publicly to elevate others. Some careers had been destroyed intentionally for content. Her stomach churned, but her mind raced. This is insane. Knox nodded. Welcome to the reality no one shows on Instagram or TikTok. Now, the choice is yours. You can crawl back into obscurity, terrified, or you can rise with eyes wide open. There's no in-between. The influencer world doesn't forgive ignorance. Amelia closed the envelope, her fingers trembling with a mix of fear and excitement. She looked up at Knox, whose hooded gaze seemed to hold a promise, knowledge, power, and a chance to reclaim her own story. I want to rise, she said firmly. Knox smiled, a flicker of approval in their eyes. Good. Then listen carefully, because the real work begins tomorrow. And Amelia, once you go down this path, there's no turning back. As she left the cafe, the city's night felt different, more alive, more dangerous, more electric. Every shadow, every flicker of light, seemed to whisper possibilities and warnings at once. Amelia's heart pounded, not from fear, but from the knowledge that she was about to step into a world few understood, where every decision could catapult her to fame or crush her spirit completely. The next morning, her phone buzzed endlessly with notifications. Old followers, new followers, and brands reaching out, all seemed innocent, yet she now understood the hidden strings. Amelia ignored them, focusing instead on the notes Knox had given her. Each line, each name, each strategy felt like a key to unlocking doors she didn't even know existed. For hours, she analyzed Liana's patterns, the timing of her posts, the way she manipulated comments and collaborations. It was meticulous work. Brutally detailed. Exhausting. But Amelia felt a thrill, like a detective discovering a conspiracy and finally holding the blueprints. By evening, she drafted her first plan, a video exposing subtle truths without outright confrontation, a way to reclaim her audience, to build credibility on her own terms. Every shot, every caption, every edit would be intentional, precise, and calculated, but still authentically her. She hit record, her hands steady now, voice firm. The camera didn't just capture her face, it captured her awakening. The viewers didn't know it yet, but Amelia was no longer naive. She was aware. She was strategic. She was about to rewrite the rules of influence. And as she spoke into the lens, she felt something extraordinary, power, not over others, but over herself. Over the fear, over the manipulation, over the world that had tried to define her. She wasn't just making content. She was making a statement. A movement. A survival strategy disguised as authenticity. Outside, the city's lights flickered, reflecting in her window like distant stars. Amelia smiled faintly, knowing that the journey ahead would be treacherous, that she would be tested in ways she couldn't yet imagine. But for the first time, she wasn't afraid. She was ready. Because she finally understood that influence wasn't just about followers or likes. It was about control, control over narrative, over perception, over destiny itself. And Amelia was determined to take it back. She glanced at the envelope one last time. Knocks had vanished as mysteriously as they had appeared, leaving only knowledge, strategy, and the unspoken warning: trust no one, not even those who claim to guide you. Her screen glowed. She took a deep breath, pressing upload on the first video of what would become her silent revolution. Every word, every gesture, every frame calculated. And as the views began to climb, Amelia felt the unmistakable thrill of someone stepping into their own power for the very first time. Because now, she didn't just want to be an influencer. She wanted to be untouchable. And somewhere, in the shadows, someone, or something, was already watching. Amelia didn't sleep that night. She sat in front of her laptop, the glow illuminating her determined eyes, feeling every heartbeat like a drum marking the start of something monumental. The video she uploaded wasn't just content, it was a declaration, a whisper to the world that she had learned, adapted, and would no longer be played. Every like, every comment, every share wasn't vanity anymore, it was proof that she had tapped into something deeper, the power of authenticity wielded with strategy. By morning, her notifications exploded. Not just followers, but messages from creators, brands, and ordinary viewers. Some were supportive, some skeptical, some openly curious. But the beauty of it was clear: they were engaging with her story, with her truth, with the raw edge of someone who had been through the machine and come out sharper, wiser, untamed. The influence that Liana had tried to hijack was now Amelia's to shape, and she felt it with every cell in her body. For the first time, Amelia understood the art of visibility. Not the superficial visibility of a perfect smile or staged aesthetic, but the magnetic force of honesty paired with intelligence. She realized the audiences that mattered weren't passive consumers of image, they were participants, witnesses to a journey, hungry for real experiences they could relate to. She began crafting content that reflected not just her life, but her revelations, her failures, her strategy. Every upload became a lesson, a story, a spark for someone who felt invisible to a world obsessed with appearances. Liana's shadow lingered, but it no longer intimidated her. She had dissected the patterns, predicted the manipulations, and prepared contingencies. When Liana attempted her usual maneuvers, subtle public digs, sponsored post-power plays, Amelia was ready. She didn't respond with anger or defensiveness. She responded with mastery. Each video subtly highlighted authenticity, subtly educated her audience about the traps of the influencer ecosystem, subtly built a fortress of credibility around herself. The audience saw it, and they responded with loyalty far deeper than any fleeting viral fame could buy. Soon, offers came, collaborations with creators she respected, brands that resonated with her values, and even media outlets seeking to understand her rise. Unlike before, Amelia didn't take anything blindly. She analyzed, negotiated, and selectively accepted opportunities that strengthened her narrative rather than diluted it. She had become a curator of influence, a strategist who wielded fame not as a trophy but as a tool. Yet the real victory wasn't in the followers or the deals. It was in her transformation. Amelia had gone from a timid girl seeking validation and likes to a powerful storyteller shaping perception, commanding attention, and guiding her community. Every moment of doubt, every sleepless night, every betrayal now had meaning, they were the crucible that forged her resilience. The fear she once felt had been replaced by awareness, the confusion replaced by strategy, the desperation replaced by self-possession. She wasn't just surviving the influencer world anymore, she was mastering it. Months passed, and Amelia's presence became more than online, it became cultural. She sparked conversations about authenticity, digital manipulation, and the hidden pressures creators faced. Her story inspired countless aspiring influencers to rethink their approach, to prioritize integrity over instant fame. Schools invited her to speak about mental health in the digital age, brands sought her insight into ethical engagement, and even Knox, the mysterious figure who had guided her, reached out again, not to control her, but to commend her evolution. Amelia smiled as she read the final message from Knox: You've done more than survive. You've rewritten the rules. Now, the world watches you on your terms. It struck her how far she had come. The girl who once trembled before a camera now commanded it. The one whose heart sank at negative comments now decoded every subtlety of public perception. The person who had been used and discarded now wielded influence with precision and authenticity. She was no longer a pawn in the game, she had become a player who could shape the board. Her community grew, not just in numbers, but in engagement. People didn't just watch her, they interacted, shared their own stories, learned from her insight. Amelia realized the greatest power wasn't the platform itself but the connection she had forged through transparency, courage, and wisdom. Every video, every post, every interaction became a mirror reflecting her journey and illuminating paths for others navigating the treacherous waters of social media. Then, one evening, she sat on her balcony, looking over the city lights that stretched like a living, breathing organism. Her phone buzzed incessantly with notifications, yet she felt calm, centered, and in control. She reflected on the journey, the betrayal, the deception, the endless nights of doubt, and the mysterious guide who had set her on a new path. Every struggle had been a lesson, every setback a strategy lesson in disguise, every humiliation a step toward mastery. She understood now that influence wasn't about perfection, popularity, or praise, it was about vision, execution, and courage to remain true to oneself amid chaos. She opened her laptop and began drafting a new video, not for fame or recognition, but to document what she had learned. A message to her audience about navigating the influencer world with awareness and authenticity. She spoke into the camera, every word intentional, every pause meaningful. The energy was different now, commanding yet inviting, strong yet empathetic. She wasn't just sharing content, she was sharing wisdom that could protect, guide, and inspire.